Hi there! Okay, this is going to be my second post for, for Biblical Heritage. So let's begin. Today we're going to focus on this giant thing, the Bible, and we're also going to look at this thing, which is my book I'm reading, The Feminine Mystique. Woo! Okay, so let's get started. Okay, I've probably tried recording this video like 3 or 4 times now, and it's taken me over an hour, and I will tell you why. Because I will go through this book and read quotes, and it takes like 3 minutes, and then my video shuts down for some reason. So I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. So instead of going over all the amazing quotes that are in the first chapter of this book, I'm instead just going to give you an overall summary of what has happened. The first chapter in The Feminine Mystique is called The Problem That Has No Name. And basically, Friedan is telling us that there's a dissatisfaction between women in the 1950s and 60s with their lives. They're housewives, they are mothers, all they want to do is just, or at least media and society are telling them that the only things that they should be doing in life that's going to give you full feminine fulfillment is to be a wife, a mother, and the, keeper of a house, basically. And for a lot of white women during this time, that was all that they inspired to be, but that's all they were told to be. And that's not how it was for a very long time. There were feminists before them that came in the first wave of feminists who were fighting for the right to vote, who were fighting for an education, and then women received that. And then all of a sudden there was a turnaround where women started going back against that, and they were like, the only things that are important in life are to have a husband, have children, and have a house with amazing appliances. Be PTA Mother of the Year, woohoo! So, there was definitely a push then for mothers to even tell their daughters that the only important things in life are for having other people, to take care of you. And that seems to be a really important thing in the Bible as well. Men are supposed to be the only people that take care of you. Don't take care of yourselves. And I think that's a really interesting thing that both the Bible and Friedan talk about, is that women are not supposed to be the ones taking care of themselves. It is the men. And I think that throughout time, throughout biblical times, I think it's just very interesting to see that that is how it truly is, If we, just look at some of the stories that we've been talking about in Genesis and Exodus, we have Abraham and Sarah, and you see that, the only thing that Sarah is concerned about in life is making sure she has children, which we're going to talk about, but that, she's there for her husband, and her husband provides for her. The next thing I do want to cover in here comes from Genesis chapter 16, and what I'm focusing on here is that Abraham and Sarah are trying to have a child in this chapter, which God told them that they shouldn't have to worry about that, that the only important thing is that the Lord will provide for you. You guys will have children. I know it's really late in your years, but you're going to have children. Basically, Sarah didn't believe him. Sarah says, she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my maidservant. Perhaps I can build a family through her." And like I talked about in my first intro post, my Bible has a lot of these like blue sidebars that talk about certain issues in these Bibles and go more further and in depth with them. So on one side of them it says, "Many people regarded having children as the primary contribution that a woman made to a marriage." And I think that's absolutely true. And I think that, we see for thousands of years past, even during the 1950s and 60s, we can see here that the only thing women are supposedly good for is to be having children, continuing that male lineage. I think a really good question to bring up is that why is having the male being the head of the household so important? First of all, it's women who are the ones who keep anything going. They're the ones who are having children. But why is man so in charge, I guess. I'm just concerned about that. Another really big thing here that we see is that women are seen, or at least the only thing that men are concerned about for women is their sexual orientation. Women are good for nothing but their body parts. You know, you can conceive a child, great. Well, that's about all you're good for. You know, you are sexual and you're a sexual object for me, and you're someone who I can do things with in the bed that I'm not going to do with the same gender. Or at least that's how it was then. Well, the same thing for Friedan's time, of course, you know. Basically, oh, you can have a child with me and I'm going to support you, you know. Women didn't do anything else. They didn't have jobs. They didn't have careers. They were just moms. Then they were wives. And that was it. So it's just kind of funny to see how nothing really has changed. There's other things that I do want to talk about. And I want to talk about Hagar because I feel like she has a role in the Bible that's very underplayed. She is supposed to be the maidservant who has Sarah's child for her, but then Sarah gets upset with her, mistreats her, and Hagar runs away. I find it very curious that in the Bible, God tells her, then the angel of the Lord told her, go back to your mistress and submit to her. The angel added, I will also increase your descendants. Okay, I have some concerns with this one passage, that because of her bad actions for running away from her mistress, that she is supposed to submit to her. It kind of shows that you're not only supposed to submit to men, you're supposed to submit to anyone. Nah, I don't like that. As with comparing that to Friedan's book, it seems like women only submit to men. They don't submit to other women. But you could think of it as women are submitting to society's standards, almost, of how women are supposed to be, if you want to look at it that way. So in the Bible, women submit to both men and women, and in Friedan's book, women submit only to men. But if you want to get a little deeper, you could say, like I said, women submit to women's standards, to society standards of how women are supposed to be, how feminine they're supposed to be, and everything like that. So I find that pretty interesting. Yeah, so those are the things that I wanted to touch on in this Bible. I really thought that chapter 16 in the Bible gave us a lot of ideas of how women are supposed to act, how they're supposed to support their husbands. I'm sorry, my roommate is being loud right now. But it gives you an idea of how a lot of things haven't really changed back from Genesis and Exodus to Friedan's time of the 50s and 60s. You know, women are still housewives. Women are still there to support man. Nothing really has changed. The one thing, though, that, you know, Friedan, the whole point of chapter 1 is women are distressed. They are having a problem. They're having a crisis. They want to do something more in their lives. For 16 years of their life, 16, 17, 18 years of their life in the 50s and 60s, women are educated through elementary through secondary schooling. Well, in biblical times, you know, schooling wasn't really a thing. Women stayed at home. They did household chores back then, whatever that was. But it is interesting that it does seem, though, that women want to play more of a bigger part in not only supporting their husbands, but in a way that God will I don't know, make them do something more. And we will see that, hopefully, somewhere in the Bible, that women actually do play a more important role in doing God's will and doing God's what God wants them to do. But in Friedan's time, there definitely is, you know, a difference from Bible, where women do receive almost 20 years education, a little less than that, and now they're supposed to switch automatically to becoming a housewife and a mother and a wife, and how do you go from being so academically challenged for so many years, you know, receiving a great education, especially if you are white, you live in suburbs, which your parents probably did, and you're growing up in the time where it's okay to receive an education. You know, women in the 1920s and 1930s had fought for those rights, but now you need a code switch. You need to completely stop and turn around and change your life. So I think it's interesting how the Bible and Frieden's times, 50s and 60s, are different. I'm going to say, though, that I'm happy to live in the time period that I do now, where that doesn't happen. But I think this is a pretty good stopping point. I went over a couple of the points in here, and I'm actually going to post some of the quotes below. I hope you have a great night and a great weekend. Woohoo! Bye!